G'day guys, part 5, let's go.
G'day guys. Yeah, a bit of work on these independent brake levers. Obviously they won't hold themselves up yet. The link from the back to the pedal has to be there. And then I'll do all the final adjustment. But you can see, the brakes are starting to work and that off that cam. Yeah, just cleaned them up, powder coated them, detailed them a bit, so they come up all right. Bit of grease in that knuckle assembly or whatever it is, and yeah, starting to look all right. I just cleaned up the nuts and bolts as usual, and yeah, as I say, until the rod, and that's from that pin, trying to point here, you can see that hole there in that bracket. As I say, there's a rod that goes from there right up to the pedal assembly. When you push that, that locks that whole thing and does that, which applies your brakes. So yeah, just once again, bit by bit, until then it hangs down. These are the brake activating rods, guys. I've just given them a bit of a buff and a coat of rattle can black. Cleaned up the bushes, buffed them all up and that, and turned them black, in the oil. They should dress up fairly nicely. These just go basically from the pedal back to the back to that little cam arrangement there on those cross shafts. Can't adjust any of it yet because there's no brake drums on or brake pedal or anything like that, but we can put them on, and then we're going to start on hidden under there is brake drums. I want to put them on, and then I'll start thinking about getting the back wheels cleaned up and painted and whatever the hell to do with them. Brake drums, guys. Well, what can we say about these that you don't already know? Just cleaned them up. They're basically just about ready for paint. If you'll notice here, there's rivets. And if you look on the opposite side in the other drum, you'll see it's got a plate riveted here. The other thing to notice is little holes. I think what they're for, I think they act as a drain. So say if the axle seal leaks or something like that, the oil will go up in there, because there is a definite lip in there. You can't really see it. There it is. The oil will go up in there and be forced out those holes and not go in and contaminate your brakes. It may also help with draining water, mud, or maybe not mud, but water, that sort of thing. So never seen that before. I don't know if it's a Harry Ferguson thing, but never seen it before. Obviously check the surface of your drums. They're really good. I don't think they've done a lot of work. And they've got to be round, of course. I'm taking a punt that they're round. I've got no easy way of measuring that for round. Well, I have, but I don't think there's any gain in it, and I'm not machining them. The surfaces are beautiful. You can see in there's a bit of a scratch, and what a mess. And also in there's a little bit of a scratch. This is the side that the brake anchor pin was broken, and the shoe was rocking about inside, so that's why that's a little bit scratched. The surface is quite adequate, quite serviceable. So we're going to go with those. Just a matter of giving them a lick of paint and bunging them on. And there we have it, 2 brake drums ready to rock and roll. I painted them in that anti-chip bloody tar coating sort of stuff. It dries quick. I know it's not the big glossy finish and that, but you won't see them because they're behind the wheel anyway. But yeah, it's hard wearing and they come up all right. So yeah, and it hides a few of the little imperfections in the preparation, so it serves a double purpose. This is the oil pressure gauge pipeline. That banjo fitting goes down on the bottom of the block, down in right there behind that wire, that little bolt there, if you can see that, and goes up to the gauge, up in the back of the gauge. It's pretty crappy. It wants clean up. I'm tipping it's copper, so it should polish up nice. That fitting is wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of that little flare, take that nut off, put the new nut on and re-flare it. It's just a single flare. You can, if you can make that out, I don't know. We can replicate that and clean the bit of pipe up nice, and yeah, it'll just be like a polished copper or alloy, whatever the metal is. Well guys, you may have seen one of these before. This is a, basically it's a tube straightener. Does up to about 10 mil, alloy tubes, that sort of, doesn't do bar stock or anything like that. And you put your bit of pipe through, like so, and then just nip that jaw down and work the pipe in and out like that, and it'll come straight. I haven't got a tripod, but I'll try and show you how this works without a tripod doing it one end. We'll see how we go. Definitely a two-handed operation, guys. But yeah, you put your pipe in, you have to sort of meet it halfway. I just bent that sort of straight by hand a bit. But what you do is you roll that back and forwards as you're turning it, and that will slowly take out any little bloody bends and that in it. So there's a pretty good bend there. But if you have a look, there, okay, it is getting there. And there we have it, guys. One bit of nicely straightened pipe or tube, and it's a lot easier to work with. We can put the nut on it and flare it now. Before and after, guys. These are those brackets that go in the side there, where the foot pegs come out of, and the, what do you call them? The arms that go to the front of the axle control arms, or yeah, whatever the hell you call them. They've got the ball on the end of them and they swivel in there. These are going to be powder coated, but as you can see, a little bit of time on the linisher and you get rid of some of the casting marks and rubbish, and they just look a whole lot better when they're powder coated. You know, the casting marks, or the cast is still there, but I've got rid of the little lip and all of that, so you can sort of, so you can make it out on that one. If you spend a minute and grind all that off, you know, you start to get some, like there's a comparison, you start to get some nice results, you know, and of course the more you do, the better it looks. But yeah, powder coating, they'll come up absolutely beautiful. I'll do these, that's the handbrake ratchet. That's the one for the clutch pedal, the stop for the clutch pedal on the left-hand side. I won't say passenger. But we'll clean them up and powder coat them, and yeah, it'll last the rest of my lifetime. Gotta love powder coating, guys. You know, the gloss black, cleaned up, you know, gives everything a nice, hard, chip-resistant, heavy, well, it's not chip-resistant, but it's heavy-duty, solid paint. You know, got a good shine and that to it, and you know, it'll stay serviceable for years. So yeah, come up nice. You know, a little bit of effort polishing, you sort of, you get, you know, you look at the difference between cast there and where I polished it. You know, it comes up nice. Probably a bit stylish for a poor old grey Fergie. That's the foot pegs done, guys. And the swivels or whatever for those front control arms. Or control arms, I think that's what you call them. That go to the front axle. Obviously none of this is tight yet because that has to come back off to put the control arm in. But yeah, powder coated it all, so come up all right. Some new spring washers, cleaned up the nuts. Yeah, same on the other side. I think I got that brake ratchet the right way. If not, I can turn it round easy enough. Yeah, come up all right, sort of. Yeah, it's sort of slightly offset the paint, you know, to, I mean, it's the same colour, but you can see that's the raw casting with spray paint. That's, once again, a casting, but with powder coating and polished up. Sort of creates a little bit of an offset, so everything doesn't look exactly the bloody same. Screwing around with a few of these 3-point links, guys. Just cleaned them up a bit, turned them black like I usually do. Cleaned up the pins, so they're all right. Put that main pin back in through for the drafting thing. I have got to get that bit the bit, you know, the whatever they call it in there, that knuckle. Cleaned up the little chain and that, so yeah, they look like they're spray painted, but they're not, but they're actually just been blacked. So yeah, it's starting to look all right, slowly but surely, guys, with this bloody thing. Well, guys, this is one of the issues with reproduction parts. I've got a new chromed surround for the steering column. That's the old one. You can see obvious differences. Obviously, in the diameter of the hole in the middle, the height is different. And also the overall diameter. That one fits in that one. Which means that if you go over here and have a look, that seal is as good as useless because it doesn't bloody well seal. So yeah, this is the trouble with aftermarket parts. I mean, look, this is probably made, well, we all know where it's made. I don't think I have to say, but they did have a virus a couple of years ago. I'm not blaming the supplier. It's not their fault. I mean, I can give them feedback and say the part didn't fit. It was off eBay. I'm not going to muck around trying to send it back. It's just frustrating. I can make it work, but it's frustrating. I've moved the hour meter. I've put that down in the box just for something different. Got my headlight switch, just a universal switch. If you get one, that post is the power in, so 12 volts. That middle one is your dash lights. That one is your low beam. That one is your high beam. And looking at it at this stage, she's going to go in somewhere there. There's room in the back for the air cleaner assembly, which sits in there, so I'll just check that. Yeah, so that'll go in there, and yeah, I've got a volts gauge coming for that too, but yeah, it's just frustrating that, you know, you order these parts and yeah, they're not the bloody same. So anyway, it is what it is. I might have too much time on my hands, guys, but they're the new chains to help stabilise the 3-point. Yeah, so just a new bit of chain, some new stainless shackles. Cleaned up the pins. Maybe I've got more money than brains, I don't know. Trouble is I haven't got any brains or money. Yeah, no, just I sort of want it to look new, newish, you know. Levelling box is cleaned up and done, guys. It's just rattle can black. Just sort of cleaned it up as best I could. It's paint's not bad. I'm no painter. New chains and D-shackles, as you can see. I made up some pins for the bottom. Yeah, we're getting there. I've got to get the bush in there, which I think is a bit of a bugger of a thing to put in. And I may have to replace that knuckle. But yeah, the back of it's sort of starting to look like it's just about ready for business. Yeah, I know there's no order in what I do. I just sort of do it. Well, we cleaned up our clutch pedal and tidied up the bolt. It's just sitting there loose at the moment. As you can see, it's not swiveling the shaft. Nothing's tight because I have no clutch in the tractor to adjust. And of course, that'll go in when the motor goes in. But the pedal's done, so yeah, it's starting to, yeah, it's sort of, you know, starting to look like a tractor again. Well, got the left-hand guard on, guys. You start to get the effect of what it's going to look like, I guess. The wheels will be a silvery grey colour. Paint job didn't come up too hot on the guard. I'm the world's worst bloody spray painter. No matter what I try, I can't get it right. I was that careful and still got a couple of runs, but I'll let that dry. That'll take about a month because the way the weather's been here lately, it's freezing. Let it dry. I'll just rub it back lightly and just give it a touch up and it'll be all right. I mean, it's a 70-year-old tractor. But yeah, a lot of the 3-points done, the new chains, I think you saw that. It's coming on. I'm just starting work on, as I said, I'm going to put all my wiring, or the relays and that, in that little toolbox on the side. Got a little bracket that mounts on the main two mounting bolts for the toolbox. That's the relay for the thermo fan. Those two are for the headlights, high and low beam. Apparently you've got to have two separate. And that's a circuit breaker. So what the plan is to sort of mount them sort of thusly on that. Sorry, now you can see it. That's better, isn't it? Mount them on that bracket, and circuit breaker will sit in there somewhere. I'll have to be trimmed that little tab off, but that'll hold it. Yeah, and then I can start hooking up a few wires. I can't do it all because the motor's not in, of course. But yeah, I can start running a few and organise a few bits and pieces here and there. There's a bit of a fuse there. As I say, that sort of stuff, you know, this sort of thing, I'll try and hide inside that box and you just won't see it. I'm hoping I've got enough room. As I say, I've got headlights to go on it yet. That's once the bonnet's done, that's a bit long way off yet. I'm also, as you know, going for a club permit. I don't know if I have to run tail lights or not. So I may have to run, that's the wiring that's going to go to the headlights. May have to run some wiring down and across to a couple of tail lights, which, you know, which should probably sit up here somewhere. Just don't know yet. I've got to find out about that. And yeah, but it's, you start to get the idea. Well, that's what we're doing at this stage, guys. Just screwed them in with some little self-tapping screws. They stick through, but just have to be careful that no wires touch them, which they shouldn't. Now we can sort of hook a bit of stuff up. We've got a battery positive or battery to the circuit breaker, and then that's out to our whatever we want to run. So there's got to be a 12 volt going somewhere, probably directly to the battery, I'd imagine, for that. That'll also supply ignition and whatever the hell else we can put on it. Beg your pardon, yeah, that'll supply ignition and all that. So the whole thing will be fused by a circuit breaker. Yeah, the two headlight low and high beam, and that's the fan relay. That's part of the wiring loom that came with it. What we'll do is, a couple of these have to have obviously 12 volt supply, so we'll run a little jumping wire like so. I think that's the only way to do it. Out of the auxiliary, and then we can start looking at a few other wires and yeah, see what a dog's breakfast I can make of this. Well, that's the start of our headlight wiring, guys. 12 volt supply through that circuit breaker, so that fuses this, if I'm correct. Two power supplies into terminal 30, I think it is, of these relays. So yeah, power in, we'll run an earth. I won't run this one yet because, as I say, that's got its own loom. So that's easy. We'll run an earth and we'll try and make an earth point around here somewhere. I've got to allow it to be able to get that bolt in too, so we're making a start. Earth for the relays is, I put a bolt through that aluminium. That'll earth out through the main bolts, even though I'll have an additional earth running to it anyway. Terminal 85, I think, is earth, so they're hooked up. Once again, that's got its own separate plug. I'll deal with that separately. Well, I hope I'm doing this right, guys. The relay for the thematic fan, an earth, which is that, 12 volt power, which is that. The blue and white, one goes to the sensor, one goes to the fan. So they don't connect in here, of course, they go up to the radiator and up to the thermostat housing. So other than running in a 12 volt power supply and an earth, that's about all I can really do with this, I think. Yeah, once that's in, then I can work out some lengths for the two wires that come in from the switch from the headlights. But yeah, that's sort of it for that. Well, you get the idea, guys. My hour meter, that's got to have one off the ignition. Sorry, there it is there. Ignition and an earth. Well, the earth is easy. We've got our earth. The white and the blue go to the sensor and the fan, as you know. just got to run a positive in and a negative in. I'll do both of them straight off the battery, I think. Yeah, as I say, I'm no electrician, like I'm no painter. Sorry about the camera work. And of course, you've got these wires here, the green and the brown are your high and low boom. They've got to go to there. And then two of them come out again, which go down to the front, to the headlights. I've also got to allow for a couple of tail lights. So, yeah, I hope I don't run out of room. I've got heaps of room in that grommet in there, as you can see. Sorry about the light. Yeah, it's sort of not coming up too bad. Just hides all that jazz, and the wiring will be all done in split loom. I mean, you'll see the split loom, but hopefully you won't see any wires. Same as up behind the dash. There's the headlights, back of the headlight switch there. Yeah, here's what it is. Oh, there's our brake pedal components, guys. You have the shaft that goes right through under the clutch shaft there. That's pretty straightforward. Look out, I'm nearly breaking my neck here. They're the activating levers, I suppose you'd call them, that go on the ends of the shaft. Powder coated all this jazz. Cleaned it up and smoothed off a lot of the casting marks, not all of them. Same as on the actual pedal itself. There's a bit of a spacer, I'm pretty sure from memory, that goes between the gearbox and the pedal. That'll be in that area there. Yeah, there, wherever. And cleaned up the nuts and bolts, so we can chuck that in. I'll start by put a bit of grease on the shaft and a bit of grease in those bushings, and we can go from there and hook up our arms and see if we can't get some sort of adjustment. I won't be adjusting the wheels yet because I really want to spin the wheels to make sure it's not binding, but we can get it close, and final adjustment once the wheels are on. Well, we got the brake pedal in, guys. When I was disassembling it, I put a heap of little witness marks. You see there? That little line lined up with that gap in that lever, and so on inside and so on the other side. I just thought, well, it might help with adjustment, but all this is, as you can see, all this is miles out at this stage. But that's fine, that's what adjustment's about. But I think I've got to start with some work down here, so we'll loosen that thing off down there. I don't know why I tightened it. I could have sworn I left that loose. Anyway, I've got to take up that clearance in there. I'm only guessing at this. I haven't looked at any anything in the book. I've got a book. It's still packed away up in some of these boxes here somewhere, and I don't want to unpack it. I don't know where the hell to put the crap. Anyway, it is what it is. But we'll start by undoing that and rotating that cam around a bit so it's a bit closer. And if not, well, I think that I think Bundy Bear's done a video on these, or that other English fella, I can't think of his name. Waterhouse Ford, yeah, he does these as well. I think he's done videos on these. So, yeah, they're good points of reference. And, yeah, they're doing obviously on the same tractor. So let's have a go. Well, I don't know if the brakes are right or not, but I've got a good pedal. Everything's moving correctly. The witness marks that I put didn't marry up, but then I had to sort of move these levers forward a bit to get the correct adjustment. But thinking about it, I've put brand new linings and everything on, which is going to account for all of this being out of adjustment. So anyway, it's come up. I've got a good pedal. The steering brakes work beautifully, and the other side as well. So yeah, a bit squeaky. I don't know why it shouldn't be. So it looks like we've got brakes, but I'll check. I'll do a final adjustment once it's on its wheels and driving and all of that. But yeah, there we go. As I've said before, guys, I always get visitors in here. There's KP, and there's his wife over there. Yeah, King Parrot, male and female. They're in here looking for food, the little buggers. We give them a bit of feed occasionally. Sunflower seed, they love it. But yeah, cheeky as you like. Look at that, I'll just come in and help myself. Can't even have my own shed to myself without people coming around trying to get stuff. What? What did you say? What? What have you got to say? Come on. That's the lower bracket for the guard, guys. And that's a factory one. I've cleaned all that up. You can see the webbing there and so on, and how the pins bolted in. This is the other side. Clearly it's been remanufactured out of a bit of angle. Haven't done a bad job, but it is different, and that pin is very, very worn. So what we're going to do is I'll turn up a new pin for that, clean this bracket right up, sort of. If you look at that one, you can see the edges are angled. I'll do what I can with that. I'll put an angle on that at least. Oh, sorry, an angle on that. Clean it up, powder coat it, and try and make it look like the other side. But yeah, she's. I mean, how do you damage a part like that? Either you lose it, but I don't see how you could damage it. I mean, you know, you'd have to be doing something pretty bloody harsh. Just turning up a new pin for the stabiliser arm. You know, this one that we've been working on. We've cleaned up this. It's got to be powder coated, of course. And we have to drill a hole in there. But yeah, we've got to make the new pin. So just getting measurements off the existing one. And we'll turn it down and make the bloody thing, because I haven't got one. 18mm. I've just found a nut that'll be suitable. It's 18 by 2.5, I think it is in metric, something like that. I've done it again with this bloody camera. Yeah, so we've turned that down to 18mm. We can run that die over it, and that should give us that, hopefully. Yeah, as I say, I'm no machinist, but like I always say, not bloody scared to have a go at it. I've screwed up more than I've succeeded, but we'll have a go. Well, that's our pin done, guys. Didn't come up too bad. I'll black it, you know, I'll bloody heat it up, cherry red, dump it in the oil, make it black, and yeah, all we've got to do now is drill our hole in the other bracket and powder coat it, and that bit's done. Well, there we have it, guys. One stabilising arm pin. Didn't come up too bad. Should be all right. Well, that's those bits cleaned up. Come up not bad. You know, it's, I mean, for what it is, it's better than what it was. Nuts and bolts are all cleaned up. Threads run, all that. Just noticed that one. Look at the bend in that. How the bloody hell do you bend a bolt like that? But anyway, and that's our new pin. So, yeah, it's basically done. Starting to get there with the wiring, guys. Yeah, I don't know if it'll work or not. That's got to go to the ignition, because that's for the hour meter. We've worked out a supply, an earth, all that sort of stuff. Headlight wiring, fan, all appears to be there. See what happens. I don't know. It's a bit of an earth up there for the gauges and that. Probably change these. I don't like these crimp terminals. I prefer to solder. We'll see what happens there. This has all got to be put in split loom, as does all that. Yeah, they're the wires to go up to the headlights, the green and brown. That's the main supply. That'll go to a battery. Yeah, I don't know if it'll work or not. Oh, I've got an ignition switch coming too, which will go down in that hole there, the original hole. And I put in a ignition light, alternator light, whatever the hell they are. So you sort of start to get the idea. You know, well, I say that every bloody time. Yeah, it's coming along.
Well, guys, that's part 5. Thank you to my subscribers, my viewers, and anyone else. Couple of new subscribers. We shall see you shortly in part 6.